Guitar Stories Podcast, your number one show for everything guitar.
Hey, everybody!
Hello!
Yeah, I was pretty sure I was live during that intro then, Dan, because I was singing along. Dan, I have not spoken to you so little in about a year.
I know.
Yeah, exactly.
It was weird, wasn't it? I mean, last week's episode did fall flat because of the snow.
Yeah.
And then we both had so much to do.
It's crazy.
Can everyone hear us?
Let's just check everyone hear us. I can hear us twice because I've accidentally got the real stream going.
Oh, wow. So that's twice the fun.
I don't know why I'm getting us twice.
I know.
Is everybody
all good.
here?
Sarang says all good.
Okay,
awesome.
Great. So I'm getting it twice. I've got a new audio interface, Dan. Did I tell you about that?
No. You always change stuff. That's why they make fun of us, because we run into tech issues because we have no consistency.
Yeah, I mean, I get, this is my job, so every time I do stuff, that's what happens.
Oh, so good. So are we good now, or do you have to deal with it?
No, we're definitely not good. I can hear us twice, so let me just make sure stuff happens there differently. I know I've got to press, it's got a touch screen, you see. And when I press the touch screen, I tell you what, Dan, I'll stay quiet and you can say hello to the people in the chat.
All right, yeah. Yeah, so welcome to episode 26, everyone, to the Guitar Stories podcast, your favorite podcast, and of course also your girlfriend's favorite podcast. Sorry for the delay. Sorry for not being available last week. As you know, Andy was caught in a big snowstorm under layers and layers of snow and more snow and even more snow.
It was awful.
But it's glad to have him. Yeah, but I'm so glad that you're back. And also shout out to John Gom, who was super nice, and he texted, no problem. Let's do it 2 weeks from today. So next week we're gonna have John too. So yeah, looking forward to that. Today's topic: don't be a mouse. What are we going to talk about, Andy? Can you give us a little rundown, because that was actually your topic or your idea?
I'm nowhere near ready, man.
All right. Okay. Well, then I'll just talk a little bit over it, because neither Andy nor I are like experts in how to present yourself as an artist.
It does, however, explain some stuff. Hang on.
No worries. Yeah, I wonder. Andy is so tall, he would actually have stood out of the snow, you know. But the thing is, when he's podcasting, he's sitting, so not so easy. Andy, do you want me to dive into the topic, or do you want me to just shut my mouth?
Don't make that noise when I'm testing my headphones. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I am back. I am cool. I am calm. I'm collected. I'm excited because we're talking about something today that's very close to my heart, and also we have a special guest who's also very close to my heart. So there's like a double whammy of heart closeness.
Oh, that's so good. Tell us a little bit, because I didn't know the guest either. You know, it's a thing, guys. Whenever we are like kind of preparing that episode, we talk about gear news. We talk about, okay, what would be interesting to tackle. And then Andy was like, all right, could we have a guest next week too? Because usually we do like alternating episodes, one with a guest and one without. And thinking about it and agree to it because guests are always fun. he said, that there's that dude that I know. He makes great music, and he's kind of independent musician who tries to get out to the public. So let's talk about that. And I thought about it, and I thought like interesting, because neither Andy nor I really are like deep in that field. We're no experts, nowhere near expert. But maybe together we can discuss a couple of approaches and find out what ways there are to stand out of the masses.
Well, that's what I'm hoping, Dan. I'm hoping that this video, this podcast is not about. We're not going to tell you how to do it because we don't know, but it's more a discussion and opening up other people's experiences towards this. And I have some experience in this area, and the person I'm going to speak to tonight, I remember him posting on the social medias, does anyone know how to do this? So I thought,
all right,
I know a little, but I thought if we combine the power of the Guitar Stories podcast, then maybe we can help my friend and also help each other.
Mm-hmm. Great idea. I mean, we've got like 45, 50 people in the chat anyways. So if anyone has great ideas or suggestions on how to spread the word and how to, stand out as a musician,
yes,
always interested to hear those kind of approaches. Maybe, someone had a band and they were kind of famous or even were professionals for some time. That'll be interesting. But before we come to our guest, shall we dive into the first segment of the show?
What's the first segment, Dan?
It could be guitar news.
Guitar news. Okay. So the guitar news this week, Dan, is that I don't have any news for you. Have you got any news?
I do.
Oh, great.
No,
well, we
I
missed
did not.
last week. So what was new last week is no longer new. It's now olds. But I suppose we could talk about NAMM for just a small second, because a lot of stuff went on with NAMM. There was lots of new gear released. Surprisingly, I actually caught up with some of the stuff that I don't get to catch up with when I'm at NAMM, which is the sort of talks and the conferences and the how-tos. And there was some really good content that the Believe in Music NAMM people put out. There was some great guitar tech stuff that I caught, like a sort of 10-minute podcast by a guy. That was super interesting, like a beginner's guide to guitar setup. There was singing lessons, something about music business. I can't quite remember fully, but yeah, I was actually surprised that I think what they did was good. Yeah,
I couldn't agree more. It was interesting to see how kind of smooth everything went. I don't know behind the scenes, but apparently from what I could see as a consumer or being in the industry, as a comparison between what the real event would look like and how the virtual NAMM was kind of organized, I felt it was kind of well made. You could
Sure.
book slots if you wanted to talk to someone from a company, a rep from a company. You could get like the nitty gritty from each and every company when it comes to the product news. I think they made the best out of it. The only question to me that is still kind of unanswered is NAMM and virtual NAMM even something that the industry wishes more to be successful than the actual consumers praise it? Because when I look at the numbers, there was for instance Paul Gilbert playing for Ibanez, and they had like 240, 250 people listening to him. And I thought, like, for a global event and for a very, very, well spread event like NAMM, everybody basically in the industry knows what NAMM is. It was kind of rather low attendance. It was not like super crowded. And if I compare that with streams that whenever John Mayer goes live, for instance, on his Instagram, you've got way more people there. So
well, I think that kind of ties in. Sorry, carry on, Dan.
No, please.
I think it ties in with what we're going to talk about today in the main topic, in that consistency, when you try and promote something or you try something like this podcast, for example, we're only in it for the money, of course, but we try and have some fun along the way. But if we were to do this podcast once and not put it on my channel, because the channel is another layer of commitment and things that I do very often, by just putting a podcast or an album or something out, or a digital event, a virtual event, people need time to adopt to that event. And by having a week or 3 days or 5 days of online events, I don't think it's enough, especially if they're only going to do it once a year. So John Mayer, to go back on your example, he posts all the time. And yes, he's a huge artist, but also he's consistently posting, and that's the key. So maybe when we talk to our guest later, and like he's just starting off with his adventure, I think, in the promotional terms, it's about consistency and about getting as much exposure, but regular exposure.
Mm-hmm.
And I think by doing these small weekend events or a few days events, I'm not going to go too far into it because I've got some examples that I'm going to talk about later in the main topic. But I think it's the case of that. It doesn't matter what you deliver if no one sees it. And I'm going to stop there because I want to talk to our guest about that.
Fair enough.
So there was kind of news, guitar news, but there's a lot of gear being released, Dan. I think a lot of gear was released through NAMM releases, but also it's nice to see companies spreading out those releases. And there's going to be more to come in 2021. And some good stuff because, I get to speak to people that for some reason trust me. And I know stuff. It's good. There's some good stuff coming, I promise you that. And that's only what I know, little me. But I do have some gear that I kind of picked this week.
Oh, wow.
So,
shall we take a look at Andy's pick of the week?
Yeah!
Andy's pick of the week.
I enjoyed that so much. Okay, this is a guitar for this young lady.
I love it.
Are you laughing at her guitar or my little piece of music?
No, your pick, because I was checking out that a couple days ago, and I was thinking like, if that's not going to be Andy's pick of the week, I don't know him at all.
Okay, I'm gonna terribly murder her name. It's Ariella, and she built her own guitar when she was 16. And that is it on screen if you're watching on the YouTube version. Oh, by the way, hello to everybody at YouTube and hello to everybody who's listening on the podcast. Dan probably did that at the beginning. I was fiddling around with cables. But yeah, that's her self-built guitar, which looks rather similar to another well-known self-built guitar. If you check out the pickups that are being used and the switching system, that looks very much, Dan, to me, like a Red Special.
Yeah, like a very special version of the Red Special.
Very special. So what's happened is that Brian May Guitars have developed with this artist a mass-produced or limited edition, but certainly commercially produced version of her guitar. And let's just see if I've got it. Oh, this is where it tells me that I've pressed the wrong button. There we go. Oh, well, I did have it, and now it's vanished because of all my fluffing around. There it is. That is the Brian May Guitars version of it. So it's retained some of the...
Fairly close.
Some of the originals. So we've got the switching system. We've got the trisonic pickups. We've got what's probably a 2-point trem system on that, and I guess a master volume, master tone. Then we've got a Brian May Guitars headstock, which of course makes absolute sense because you've got to brand it somehow, otherwise it would. But I'm getting what guitar for that body? What kind of feeling are you getting? Anything reminiscent?
Not at all. No.
Not even the centerpiece? Not even a kind of Firebird kind of vibe?
Yeah, sure. It's like a destroyer bird kind of thing.
A destroyer bird. That's an amazing name for a guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll be honest. I've never heard this artist's music. I don't know how much the guitar's... Oh, I do know how much the guitar's going to be. It's going to be around $1,000, $899, sort of $799, $899, $999, that kind of price.
All right, that's pretty much the ballpark that most of the Asian-made Brian May guitars are in, right?
Yeah.
Is it like that price point? Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm very intrigued. It's for me as a massive Queen fan, the Red Special is a huge icon of guitar playing, and for many others. And now for them to be doing something like this and branching out, I think they're possibly paving a way to do other stuff in the future as well. So that's super exciting. So I'd love to have a go on that. I'm hoping it's small. It looks kind of small in the body.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, if she built it for herself, it might be a little bit more tailored towards like women or people that
16-year-old girls,
smaller.
which is exactly my my size.
Your target group.
My target group, yeah.
It would look like a ukulele on your body.
I think I look pretty silly with that, but never mind. So what else have I got? I've got this one coming up. This is Carmen Vandenberg, or Vandenberg, depending on...
Yeah.
This is an amp from Blackstar called the CV30. And that's her sitting on top of the amp. Get your feet off the amp, dear. And there's the amp at the front. In fact, the cab looks a bit like the cab you're currently situated in, Dan.
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of my own Mesa Boogie 2x12. But the thing about Carmen is that she's a very, very, I mean, at least in Europe, rather unknown guitar player, but she played with Jeff Beck on tour. And that's why I first saw her playing, I think on a Jeff Beck live DVD or something.
Yeah.
And I was thinking like, okay, who's a girl playing with him? And fantastic performance throughout the whole concert. So that kind of sparked my interest, and I really dig what she's doing. And I was surprised to see Blackstar releasing that kind of signature amp for her. But I like the styles. I like what I heard. Unfortunately, I mean, to be honest, it was a cool video on the Blackstar YouTube channel, but there was very little of actual content of the amp where you could hear how it sounds. So a little bit of criticism when it comes to that. So I would have liked to hear a little bit more about what the amp is capable of, especially when she's playing, because she's a fantastic player. But as far as I could tell from the looks and also how she usually sounds, very promising amp. So, question: are you getting that to a review?
I don't know. I've not spoken to Blackstar about it. It's not expensive in the term of boutique amps that are, 3,000 euros, that sort of price, but it is nearer 1,000.
Oh, fair enough.
But I'd love to see what it does. I'd love to hear it. Looking at the controls on the amp itself, we've got built-in EQ. Is that a master volume? Yeah, master volume, 2-channel with other. I don't know. I think the look is great, and I like the handle, which is odd, is the nice attention to detail. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It kind of is several things like this that when I look at an amp, I have to look for what kind of quality they're going for. And when I see that handle, I think, okay, if they're giving the handle that much attention, I hope the rest of the amp reflects that. But I'd love to get that into test. I don't know if it'll happen. If it does happen, Dan, you'll be the first to know. And people of the YouTube channel, you'll be the second.
So that's like 2 channels on that amp?
Yeah.
And
channel 1, channel 2.
What kind of tubes? Is it like for the power section?
I didn't actually find out. I mean, I
Is it
did,
like...
but it was last week, and I've forgotten since.
All right, okay. So because that would be a big question. Is it rather like American tailored to using 6L6s, or is it more like British style? From what I hear when she's playing, I would think that she's gravitating more towards that kind of big 6L6 sound, like Lone Star.
Yeah.
Not my personal preference, because I'm using EL34s in the Lone Star, but that's what when you think Lone Star, what initially comes to your mind. Yeah.
Yeah. So. It's a CV30, so I thought it might be sort of Vox inspired.
Huh.
But I could be totally wrong there. But it looks, I'm getting a Fendery kind of feel from it.
Mm-hmm.
And I love my deluxe reverb, so if it's anything like that, then I'll be very happy testing that one out.
Oh.
Yeah, but from amps to things that are not amps. In fact, if you were French and you spoke English, you might say it's without an amp. It's the Sans amp.
What a segue.
Thank you very much.
Love it.
Thanks,
Love
mate.
it.
Yeah, so Tech21 are bringing back the classic version of the Sans amp, which is a very, very interesting move. Dan, your thoughts?
Oh, he's putting me on the spot because when he told me about that thing, I was like, all right, so what's the point? I mean, that thing existed for ages. Okay, I get it. It's kind of been used for ages, and there's some iconic tones have been created, but I couldn't care less, really. So tell me about it. What is so special about it?
I can only tell you from my point of view, and that is that Nirvana, Kurt Cobain, used it alongside the GT2 version for a lot of the sounds on Neutro, and I believe live, and maybe even Nevermind, but I'm not sure about Nevermind. Maybe someone in the chat can let me know. But it is certainly interesting because you've got stuff like, I don't know, just rail some off, like Kempers and the stuff from Two Notes and the stuff from Aux amps from Universal Audio, and all these different modelers, even the cheaper ones like the Moore stuff. What I like about this one is its simplicity. There are no menus, there are no sub-menus, there are no things that might, confuse someone. If it's the same as the classic was, which I assume it is, it's just all there in front of you. There's no complications. So you've got some dip switches to select the different amps and the different kind of speakers. Sorry, the amps is actually a switch on the side. But you've got the dip switches on the top to select the settings. And it sounds like the sound in my head a lot. So I don't care if it's any good for other people. I'm going to enjoy that.
So do you already own one of the old pedals? No.
No, I had a GT2.
Okay.
I have a GT2, but it's somewhere. I think it's still in England. So.
Yeah,
right. And now due to Brexit, I can't get it out of England because it would cost me, more than a flight there and back. But yeah, I'm excited, but mainly for nostalgic reasons and the weird factor. Like your reaction was like, why have they re-released that? Because
you've got like the Cortex versus the Sense amp. I was like,
there's a video for you, Dan. There's a video. Expect to see that soon.
All right, cool. Looking forward.
Yeah, thanks. You're welcome.
So what's the price point for the Sense amp?
I have no idea. I'll pay whatever it costs.
Oh, Mr. Big Bucks.
Mr. Big Bucks. Andy Big Bucks. No, I think it's probably around the 150 range.
Oh, that's fairly okay. Yeah. I mean, it's not cheap for a pedal that's rather
200.
retro.
I don't know. Maybe someone else can let me know in the chat. I'd like to know if it's above 200, then I have to have a conversation with myself. But I'm hoping the number 179 is jumping into my head. But that's
all right.
Could be anything. Not very clued up this week, everybody, because we had a week off. My brain has got fat. But hopefully Dan can rescue us with Dan's Pick of the Week.
Dan's Pick of the Week. Dan's Pick of the Week.
Awesome. All right. So we're starting reverse order.
Yeah, I thought I'd spice it up a bit.
Yeah, I hear. So the first pick that I had was the Proco Lil Red. Do you have any experience with the Proco Red?
Yes.
What's your take on it? Do you like it? I mean, it's fun.
I love the Rat. Again, it's what distortion should sound like to me.
Yeah.
It's kind of one of the icons of the distortion world, and there are so many pedals inspired by, and taking this formula and even improving on it in some cases. But there's something about having a Proco, and I have a newish one, a Rat 2. I have a slightly older Rat 2, and it's in the post right now, a 1987 Rat from my friend who is selling it to me and has sent it to me before I've even paid for it.
Ooh, a lot of trust. Nice.
He trusts me. He knows where I live.
That's always good. Yeah.
I have a lot of history with the Rat pedal.
All right. Yeah, I really. I mean, it's one of the iconic tones. There's no question about it. You have like the red tone, you have the tube screamer sound. I mean, it's one of the staples. You have to have that tone. But I was thinking like for a fuzz geek like you are, it must be a must-have, especially because it's taking up so little space on the pedal board.
Absolutely, Dan. It's a real nasty fuzzy distortion.
Mm-hmm.
And you can do. It's only got the filter knob, and you can do so much with that. It's so sensitive to what you're doing. You can really make it sound bad, or inappropriate, I should say, not bad. So it's quite a weird one to dial in, and some of the Rat versions have not been as nice to listen to as other versions. That is true, and I don't know if it is the legendary LM308 chip, but there are certain versions of Rats that don't sound as good as others.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why.
We've got a very rodent-centric episode this week with the mouse title and the Proco Red.
Yeah. Regarding the mouse title, by the way, Dan just wanted a mouse in the thumbnail, so we had to work around that.
You know, it's like, as an artist, you know, I just go like, okay, we have a topic. We need a mouse.
Need a mouse.
Andy,
Dan
can you
needs
do
a
something?
mouse.
I need a mouse. I need a mouse. And actually, I was sending Andy pictures of very dirty and greasy computer mice.
No, don't show anybody. It was disgusting. The filthiest computer mouse I've ever seen in my life. It gave me... I got scabies just looking at it.
That was mine. This is mine. I mean, that's clean.
Okay. I expect your mouse to be clean.
Yeah.
So,
no, but
tell me, Dan. Tell me.
I like it. Well, there's not a lot. It's basically the big one, just in a small housing. It's got all the dials. It's got all the functions. That's pretty cool. I think it's also very competitively priced. But again, we're very badly prepared, so I'm not even sure how much it's going to retail.
Retail.
It's
nice
super
joke.
Cool. Retail. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I don't know, but it's kind of cool that they squeezed like the key ingredients into that little this little housing. So that's cool. Yeah. So moving on to number 2.
That's the one in the middle, right? Let's see which one becomes number 2, because Andy's got them in any old order. Is it that one?
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Get in.
Yeah. Actually, I think I read today one headline that the interest in EVH branded instruments have skyrocketed since the passing of Eddie Van Halen. And actually, there was around the time, like a couple days after he passed away, I think Jack White played a gig at Saturday Night Live, or one of those American talk shows, where he was actually playing where he was actually playing. That's not the exact picture. I think this is the regular one. This is the one, yeah. Where he was playing that guitar, and he was also featured on the Guitar World cover a little bit later. And I was really digging that look. That blue kind of fit very well with the body. And I had wished they went for the inlays too, a little bit like on the Ibanez RG565. Don't penalize me. It's fitting. Yeah.
Getting my pen. 1, 2. You're on 2 right now. I ignored the first one.
Fairly okay. So the new color in the EVH range is called Miami Blue. It looks badass. I think the guitar is pretty nicely spec'd too. It's got a basswood body with quarter-sawn maple neck, no roasted maple. Don't know why, but no roasted maple. Got an ebony fretboard, 22 jumbo frets. Of course, it's got the D-tuner on the EVH tram. And I think it clocks in at around $1,100. So it's not cheap, but I think you're probably getting a very good instrument for that price. And I'm digging the color. So that was my pick number 2.
So hard.
Yeah.
I would so play that.
No.
That's my threat.
I really like it. Yeah, I really like that you get so much bang for the buck at the moment. Like I was saying, if I was in the market for a shreddy guitar, I would, really could narrow it down to a handful of instruments, but with great specs, like the 565 that I was talking about, or the Jack White inspired EVH. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. But moving on.
Hang on. Sorry, before we do move on.
Yeah.
That's got 3 pickups. That's got 2. So there's.
I know.
Which one are you talking about? Is it that one?
No, that's the Jack White Custom, which I actually would have preferred to see as a regular production model. But
really?
Yeah, I mean, not everyone is playing guitar at Spinal Tap, so I think the majority of people they can live with only 2 pickups in their guitar.
I'm not interested anymore, VH. Sorry.
I'm
I only
sorry.
liked. It's not the pickups; it's the block inlays. You know me. And also, I love how Jack White looks pretty much like Michael Jackson in that picture. It's insane how much Michael Jackson is going on that photo of Jack White.
Yeah. Well, you gotta love him. I mean, I really like that his transition from playing those old Jetstream Air and I don't know those kind of vintage-inspired instruments, kind of crappy instruments back in the day, and now he's moving to that highly spec'd, very shreddy-oriented instruments. And his sound didn't even change too much.
No, that's what's weird.
Yeah. So it's really a tool for him. Yeah, this one, the production one, got a ebony fretboard. The one that Jack White was playing's got a maple fretboard. So that's one of the biggest differences. I actually would have preferred a maple fretboard because it looks cool if you play it for a couple of years. Yeah, but that's what they are giving us. I'm still digging the Miami blue finish.
You want to move on?
Sarang is saying the FIM 300's got 3 pickups. You're super right, Sarang.
I'll let you have that one, Dan, because I like
Thank
that
you.
guitar.
Yeah.
You get a feeling.
All right, now moving on to a even lower priced instrument. I think that was like taking a little bit of route back to what we discussed with Virtual NAMM. It was interesting to see what has been announced at Virtual NAMM, but it was also even more interesting to see what has not been announced at Virtual NAMM and what has been announced through different channels. And the Epiphone James Nichols signature guitar, the Gold Glory, was one of the instruments that got introduced by the man himself, James Nichols. Yeah. And I mean, something you really have to hold him to is like he's so enthusiastic. I mean, I've rarely met a guy who's so cheered up and so enthused about the instruments and about playing the blues. And he's one of the post Bonamassa blues players who's really young and he's on fire. And I'm really digging that Epiphone is giving him so much love and releasing a second signature instrument. So again, it's pretty much basically the same instrument, but with a different finish, with a beautiful gold finish. It comes with a P90 in the bridge position. Luckily, they got rid of the blues power plate behind the bridge because that looked a little bit ridiculous from my point of view. But I'm really digging that look because gold tops, they're always gorgeous. How do you like it?
Firstly, I like the little badge that was on there. I don't know why I did. Oh, we don't have to always agree. We just have to write it down and discuss it later off air. There we go. Dan is a... There we are. I do like gold tops. I don't generally like Epiphone gold tops.
Okay.
Because we've got 2 pictures on screen right now, and one on the left of the screen is like sparkly goldy gold top. One on the right is more soft, smooth, with definitely like a deeper bowl. So those are 2 different guitars.
Yep.
And the one on the right looks, for me, awesome. The one on the left, for me, looks a little cheap. In comparison.
Yep, I agree.
So the one on the right has some deep curves. It's quite sexy, and it has this wonderful gold, like a matte kind of gold. And the one on the left is super sparkly, and it's not my favorite look for gold tops.
All right.
It's like a greeny to a gold. You know what I mean? There's a green tinge to it.
Yeah. I hear it.
I've got a gold top behind me from Prestige Guitars. Sorry, from Prestige Guitars. And that's somewhere in the middle of those 2, but more on the classy side. But that's just my personal preference. What do I know? Yeah, so...
Did you ever try the original one, the Old Glory, the black one?
Yes, I did.
How did you like it?
I tried 3, and I felt the build quality was a little bit off on all 3.
And that's interesting because I think we talked about it a little bit earlier, that I talked to quite a few people because I was so interested in seeing how that guitar got released, and I was checking, if the original run, if that is already sold out or still available. And actually, there are quite a few dealers that still have the old Glory, the black one, available. And there was some very critical feedback from people that telling me that the build quality, like you said, for some of them was spot on, and for some of them it was horrible. So I don't know, if you're interested in the golden one, the gold Glory, you might be better off like trying a couple in the music store once they are reopened again, because I think the guitar will be available around April for approximately $700, which is an okay price, but it's also a very, very reduced guitar. It's not a lot of bells and whistles except for the finish. So with only one pickup in the bridge position, wraparound bridge, it's a very, very reduced guitar. So yeah.
Well, Guillaume bought the black one.
And was he happy with that?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So he got
But
lucky.
also,
then.
Guillaume gets to slightly choose one of about 5. So.
Well, if you work at a big music store, then you're probably better off than others.
Yeah. Sorry. I guess, Dan.
Yeah.
I guess we should move on and
Sure.
stop talking about guitars. Who wants to talk about guitars on this podcast?
No.
Not us. Not us.
Not us.
All right. We have a guest. I don't know whether to do the sponsorship first or the guest. What do you want to do, Dan?
Let's do the sponsorship first.
Okay. I'm just making sure that he's still awake on Skype and is mute. There he is. He's still awake. Okay. Well, we're going to come to you in a moment, and we're just going to do our sponsorship. So this is our sponsorship. It is Amplitube 5. They were just going to sponsor us for January, but we didn't make it last week, so they got another week in February. And Amplitube 5 is, of course, a guitar software plugin. Dan, have you been trying it recently?
Yes.
With your iRig?
Yeah, with my iRig. I know.
Wow.
Yeah, I told you, I have that stuff like is cluttered all around the place, and since I'm about to move, I wasn't able to even find my the bigger device. But I tried with the iRig, and I found it was pretty fun to kind of just try out those different sounds, and it was fairly easy, and you could get a very decent tone even within a couple minutes. So I like that a lot. And actually, my little daughter, she had the headphones on and tried a couple tones too, and she's 4 years old, so it's super easy. And I really like that she was enjoying it too.
I think our guest tonight is also a fan of Amplitube, just looking at the Skype screen. Give us a nod or a shake of the head. Yeah. Okay, that's cool. Maybe we can talk about that. Our chat's just been invaded by 60 Cycle Hum, by the way. So just wait for them to get bored, and they'll leave us alone in a minute. But we have some stuff to give away.
Yeah, and we received a couple memes.
Yeah. So last
And
week, Dan set a challenge to create some memes based on the podcast or us or Amplitube or something in that vein. And we had 2 Amplitube serial keys to give away.
Yep.
And I don't know who. So they got sent to Dan, and I don't know who the senders are. So I get to choose, and we have 2 or 3, Dan?
We have 3 finalists.
3 finalists.
The best one. We had a couple lackluster and a couple that were much, much better. So we narrowed it down to the 3 funniest.
Okay, so maybe the people in the chat could actually help me do this rather than make me the evil one, because by having 2 winners out of 3 people, we just get 1 loser, which is horrid. So I'll bring up the first meme, and you can all see it. This is a very young Danielson holding some kind of guitar. I don't know what it is. We don't need to talk about the brand. And it says, "Today I start my career as a violinist," because he's holding it over his shoulder. Yeah, I have you ever been memed before, Dan?
Yeah, a couple times, but that was pretty a mean meme.
Okay.
I like it. I like it a lot. Actually, you said I look like a young Dan. I think that image is not older than 12 months. 12 months, yeah.
So what I'm really saying is you got old, man, quick.
It's all due to Corona. Staying at home all day.
Mate, the grey hairs in this fro, I'm going to be like Brian May soon.
Yeah.
Only because of the hair, no other reason. But yeah, you're doing some smell the fart acting there. That's pretty good, and I quite like that one. I'm going to show the next one.
Yeah.
You want to read that one out, Dan?
Yeah. Don't play with the electric outlet. They said you can get hurt. And then you see Andy, and it says, "But I want to rock and have a cool fro." I like that. I like that a lot. So you see a boy like playing around at the electric outlet, and then you see Andy with his fro in perfect condition. Yeah.
I'm actually wearing
nice
the same
meme.
shirt right now. Quite a nice shirt. I wear that often. It's a good meme. I like that. There's thought gone into it. I'm in it, so of course I like it. but I want to know. That's probably I hope that's a stock photo. I hope there's no one got their child to just sort of. Can you do this for me, Sammy, and sit over there? What is that stock photo for? Is it? You know what I mean? Like, why does that photo exist?
Yeah. That's a good question. Maybe I don't know.
And where's that young lad's slippers? Fall over wearing his socks around the house like that.
That's a good question. Why would you need a stock photo like this? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's part of a comic that tells you what happens if you play around with the power outlet.
And there's the result down there.
And there's the result. Yeah, there you go. So that's a very good meme.
I like that one. And our third and final meme.
I like that too. Yeah.
So it's a screenshot of the podcast, and it says, "Praying that Dan doesn't talk about Ibanez." Oh, damn it! I said it. One more. I know I do this with my hands a lot. It's my thinking thing.
Yeah, it looks like you were praying to God. Please, God, please.
I have to say, I don't know, or more importantly, I've forgotten who made these memes, and I have to say, if I get a pick, whoever made this one wins a copy of Amplitube, because I think that's funny as heck and so on point with the podcast. So for me, that's my vote.
Yeah, maybe the guys in the chat can give us a little bit of a hint what they prefer. So we got one was the Dan and the violin, but the violin was the other way around. The second one, yeah, my career as a violinist. Then the second one was Andy and the electric outlet, and the third one was Andy praying to God that I'm not talking about Ibanez again, like I usually do. So please give us a little bit of a hint what you prefer. 1, 2, or 3. So what do you see? 3. There are a lot of votes already for number 3. 2 and 3. I prefer the first one. 2 and 3. What else? What else? 2 and 3. The second 2. 2 and 3.
So Ryan
right,
is here, and he likes the third one. Oh, I'm picking the third one. That's done for me. I'm making that executive decision that number 3 is winning an Amplitube code. Dan, who sent us number 3, please?
Let me quickly check.
We don't know. Okay.
No. I know. I mean, number 2 and number 3, those were from Valeria and Sarang.
So who did number 3?
And number 1 was. I'm going to check that right now. So let me quickly check which. I mean, it's been 2 weeks. So
yeah, you've done some work in that time as well. Well, most importantly, 60 Sakaham is voting for 3. Is that Valeria's number 3?
No, Valeria is number 2. And Sarang is number 3.
Sarang, you win yourself a copy of Amplitube 5. I forgot the number then. Amplitube 5 is going to be winging its way to you. You need to message me your email address, and I will get that all sorted for you. So I'm making notes, Dan, now from now on, because I hear that's what other guitar podcasts do.
No way.
Yeah.
No way.
And I've written his name down, Sarang, and then I'll write some kind of code that I won't be able to read tomorrow to keep me guessing. And let's see what other people. Sarang, congratulations. We're getting mostly votes for number 2.
All right.
So I'm going to call
then
it
number 2.
Number 2 would be Valeria.
There you go.
Valeria, congratulations. You've won yourself a copy of Amplitube 5. Dan will send it via the post with your hoodie to Chile, and it'll be with you in about 6 years.
When there's probably Amplitube 11.
So, Valeria, if you could also be so kind as to message me with your email address, I will get that sorted out for you in about let's say 27 hours, just to be precise. So here are 2 winners. We've got that one, which is really funny, and that one. And commiserations to who made number 1?
That was Rick, the guy from the Lego podcast.
Rick, I love you. You've just started playing guitar. It's a good motivation to even play more guitar and, more importantly, create more memes, because that's what real guitar players do.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and please don't hold the guitar like I did in that picture.
Yeah, that's an educational shot. I would like to give our guest a sort of 30-second warning just to make sure that the hair is done and everything's brushed and you know.
Yep.
So our topic of the week, Dan, is talking about how to be heard as an independent musician. I don't think it's very easy, and our guest is about to release. Just remind me. About to release, not released yet. First record or first big one that I know that he's been working on for a while. So I'm giving him a massive build-up here. I don't know why I'm doing it, but I'm going to give him a guest pre-roll as well. So let's bring on the guest. Here he is. Hello, Moog.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Hello, Andy. Hi, Dan. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm
Great.
fine
Good to
and
have you on the
dandy.
show, man.
Everybody, this is Moog, better known as the Artist Project. Can we call it that?
Yeah, I think so. Seeing as it's only me, so.
Rapscallion is the name you go by, which is a kick-ass name. Do you want to tell us about the music you make and the band that you have?
Okay. Yeah. So the music I make, I call chap rock. It's sort of very classic rock, glam metal, kind of along those lines. Bit of heavy metal. You know, it's that ballpark. But the one sort of standout thing about it is that I write all the songs lyrically from kind of a sort of pseudo Victorian point of view. It's all very it's very sort of chappish, and there's a lot of humor in the lyrics. It's very self-aware and funny. But the music is just dead serious, played for the love of rock music.
Sure. Just for our, because we're in 33 countries, what is a chap? Because
okay, so chap is very sort of, it's like a British English, I guess, really gentleman, kind of. Crikey, how to explain it for someone who doesn't know? That's an interesting thing. I haven't approached that yet, so I should probably get my
here we
head
go.
around
Come
that
on,
one.
it's your test.
So yeah, it's very that very sort of atypical English gentleman kind of vibe that's probably very out of date now, but so out of date it's come back round, and a lot of people dress in tweed, you know, wear a hat, be polite to each other, and all that kind of fun stuff, and it's most often done with very firm tongue-in-cheek, sort of poking fun at the whole sort of ridiculousness of the British superiority of the last century.
All right.
So, yeah, I don't know if that makes it sound appealing at all. It probably makes it sound horrific, but But yeah, it's quite there's quite a lot. It borders slightly on sort of a steampunk kind of vibe, which might be a bit more sort of understandable or accessible, lots more familiar, at least I reckon, around the world. In the terms that it's sort of a very old sort of point of view, but brought up to date and spun in a very sort of modern way. So yeah, and the band itself, well, the production of the whole album was pretty much just me. Had a bunch of friends doing some backing vocals, but yeah, the actual project was just something I've recorded at home. I have over the last couple of years been building a live band, and some really good friends of mine have got an excellent drummer and excellent bass player called John and Dan. That's two separate people, not one person called John and Dan. That would be weird. Who we've done a lot of stuff before. We did a live stage musical of Hedwig and the Angry Inch a number of years ago, and that was where I met those guys. And so we've kind of been friends ever since. And when this project was coming up, they were quite keen to sort of jump on board. So we'd done a bunch of rehearsals. And then we're just getting to the point when we were sort of due to sort of really start getting it together and play out live this year. And then, of course, last year. And of course, everything went wrong. So, the plan is to get back in the studio as soon as we can and get the band up and running. But, that's future things.
Right. For our audience, is there any band that you could compare it to? Like any kind of role models or stylistic models?
Yeah, I mean, it's that sort of real classic rock vibe. So you're not going to be a million miles out of the ballpark if you think of bands like Queen, like The Darkness.
All right.
A little bit of AC/DC thrown in there. It's if you imagine all the influences that influence The Darkness, they're probably my influences too, including The Darkness. So, yeah, just straight down the line, classic rock, good melodies, classic
guitar solos,
soaring guitar solos,
Yes!
and ridiculous triumphant harmonies all over the shop.
All right, cool. So just from a geek perspective, before you go into the promotional side of things, what was your main rig for recording the album? Did you have like a couple go-to instruments and amps? Or just Amplitube?
Well, here's the thing. I've been working on this project so long. The first track I started recording, I think it's probably just about 6.5 years ago now. And I was building it slowly, and then about 2 years into it, I had a real surge of energy. I was right, okay, I'm going to finish this. And then I had a daughter, so all my spare time. Thank you. That was 4 years ago, nearly 5 actually now. But then, so all my free time, of course, as you will well know, absolutely disappeared. And then only in the last sort of year or so, I was starting to get back and managed to finish off the album last year. But as for recording, all that was a precursor too. When I started, I was using Amplitube 3, which I was really keen on. It was the first time that I heard something software based that really made me go, okay, this is good, this is really good. And so I recorded maybe 4 tracks using Amplitube. Then the massive break happened, and then in that time I actually ended up falling in love with the Helix. So
right.
And the reason I got the Helix, it came out exactly the right perfect time, because with a new baby in the house, there was no way I could play. I've got a Marshall JCM 2000 TS122 down there. So that ain't gonna happen.
Yeah. I hear you.
So yeah, so I my last big expense before my daughter was born on my own was I treated myself to a Helix, and it saved my guitar playing. So I mean, eventually, as much as I do love Amplitude and I think it's wonderful, I did end up re-recording everything with the Helix sounds.
All right, that's a brave decision.
Yeah, yeah. I don't. Yeah, I don't really know. I didn't. It wasn't really a conscious thing. It was. I think I just kept sort of. I think because I guess my recording technique had improved over that time as well. So there are certain things I didn't feel were quite up to what I wanted the rest of the album to be. So I think there might actually be one or two Amplitude tracks left in there somewhere, but most of it was re-recorded.
All right, okay.
You don't have to please the sponsor. It's absolutely fine. I'd rather you were honest. But it just made me realize that I've known you for that long, because I remember you frantically trying to sell gear, I think, to fund the Helix. Have I misremembered that?
Well, yeah, my Helix was nearly 5 years ago. Yeah, and I did sell a few bits. So yeah, I guess we must have known each other that long. That's crazy.
Well, that's kind of one of the reasons I invited you today. Exactly. That's why you're here today, really, is because I've been invested in this project because I've known about it for so long, and I feel emotionally attached to it. But also, as I mentioned earlier on the podcast today, that you posted on social media that does anyone know how to promote an album these days, or something along those lines. And we're here so we can meet you, but also to maybe trying to help you out. And the people in the chat are wonderful people, and also, dare I say, quite intelligent people. So, and risk takers. So they might just throw some stuff out there that's rubbish, but they're there for taking a risk. People are very interested in your gear, I must say, Moog. They've noticed the Brian May Red Special behind you, and there's a guessing game going on about the SG that's on your other shoulder.
Oh, yeah. I haven't even
someone's guessed. Yeah,
that guitar. Yeah, but
is this the unofficial release?
It might. Yeah, you can have that one.
Thanks, mate. Dan, do you recognise that SG over Moog's right shoulder?
Shall I bring it closer?
Yeah, please. Yeah, please.
Yeah, I want to see you
yet, but hang on.
Untangle those lights. Oh.
I still can't tell.
WS.
Now, of course, I can't hear you. So
of course.
There you go. So
Hello.
there you go. It is indeed my own custom recreation of Bill S. Preston's future SG from the end of Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, which is all painted up, and it just needs to be finely polished, and then I can rebuild it and actually play the thing. So, yeah, there you go.
It looks great, man.
Thank you. I'm just going to pop it back, then I can hear you again. 1 sec.
Yeah.
Sure.
Andy, do you know what was like? What was that like? The original instrument? Was that an Epiphone? Was that a Frankenstein Partscaster? Or
You mean the one for the movie, or the one that Moog's doing?
no, the one that Moog's doing. Yeah.
I believe it's an Epiphone. Is that right, Moog?
No, it's actually a vintage.
Ah, the
right,
VS6.
okay.
Yeah, I beg your pardon. Sorry.
Yeah.
Right. They also had the Fool. That was a great guitar, like with cool painting already from factory. That was pretty nice.
So
Recreation of Clapton.
a few people in the chat did actually guess where it was from, because I did post in the chat, and a lot of people are very excited about the guitar. So here's going to come my first tip on how to promote your music. Play that guitar. Because I'm guessing that the three of us are roughly the same age, kind of, and we'd get the same sort of pop quiz and pop culture references. I think your music very much appeals to me, because you very politely sent an advance copy to Dan and I, and it is very AC/DC, Darkness Queen, so it's right in my wheelhouse as well. And I think by doing these kind of slightly weird, like not super mainstream pop culture references, people see you playing that guitar, or indeed the Red Special, they'll know what you're doing. If you're going to play another Telly or a Les Paul or something, I think your music really does stand out on its own. You know, it certainly is one side of the middle. It's not mainstream, and I think that's great, because finding a niche for some bands is difficult, and therefore finding listeners. But your music will, dare I say, either attract people or disgust them from the moment they hear it.
Which is good. You got to polarize.
Exactly.
I know which I can guess is going to be more frequent. I mean,
but Andy's super right, because that image, like gear, can kind of convey such an image immediately, even before you played a single note. And I think that SG tells the audience immediately, all right, you're getting rock and roll tonight, guys. So you see what I did there, right?
Thank you very much. Yeah, little play. It's interesting actually. I've my main guitar is it's a Les Paul. It's a 2012 Pro tribute, so it looks like a standard, but is in fact a tribute. But it's a nice sort of, very nice. It's a what is it? It's not a Desert Burst. Crikey,
Tobacco Burst, isn't it?
Tobacco Burst. Thank you. Yes. So it's got that nice sort of just sort of brown look that I was going for. I was actually almost going to get one of those really nice, just plain wood studios that were out a few years ago. I think about 2016. Because I love those. I think they look phenomenal. But then the one they released afterwards was the lacquered version, and I didn't like that quite so much. But yes, I mean that is my main guitar. But I think I'll probably, when I rebuild the SG there, I'll it's only just got the stock pickups that are sitting around, but I might grab another set of something to pop in there to give it a little bit of beef.
Yeah, do it.
I might get, so I've got I've actually got an Epiphone Les Paul kicking around somewhere, which has got a JB in the bridge and a jazz in the neck, which is a beautiful combination. So
that's
that
a
might
great
work
Les
quite
Paul
nicely.
combination. Yeah, rip those out and throw them in there straight away. Mook, some people are asking, and this should have been our first thing really, was where can they hear music that you're speaking of? Because some people are very interested in hearing it.
Okay, that's nice to know. Hello, everyone who's interested in listening to the music. Well, the first single is actually releasing this Friday. So there's a few places that you'll be able to hear that. I mean, it's going to be, if you look for Rapscallion on Spotify, Apple Music, all the usual places, it's going to be there. Facebook is a good place to jump, and I'll be posting all about it on there. And if you just look for Rapscallion, you'll probably find it. But the official search term is the band Rapscallion, because there are several other Rapscallions, annoyingly. But if you pop over there, then the video will be going up first thing Friday. So that will be the first single coming out. And then so the best thing to do, I reckon, is jump on Facebook, and then I'll link everywhere from there. So come and see me there, say hello.
What is the name of the album, Mook?
The name of the album is Maximum Splendid.
I love it.
Thank you.
So terribly English. Terribly English.
This is the whole point, yes.
Yeah, you nailed it.
The first single, is going to be called brackets, You're Bloody Well Getting, close brackets, Rock and Roll, brackets, Tonight, close brackets. I love ridiculous amounts of brackets in titles. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah.
It's so beautifully complicated. I love it.
It's so beautifully complicated that all of the online streaming platforms forced me to use two different types of brackets.
Yeah. You're also on Instagram, because there's a question. It's Rapscallion, the band.
Yes, this is a really annoying thing. I haven't been able to unify all of the Twitter, the Facebook, and the Instagram.
That is
really annoying.
that's a big point. I mean, if people are having a hard time finding you, especially with a name that's been taken several times, having that kind of uniform name would definitely help to make it easier for people to spot you. Yeah.
It's true. Yeah. I don't know if that's something you can sort of change retroactively, but
But it happened to
know.
Robbie Williams, so it happens to the best of us.
yeah.
Some other guy, some other Robbie Williams had RobbieWilliams.com, and I remember there being quite a battle. Yeah, so
Yeah,
know
that wouldn't do too good.
don't know who these other fake Rapscallions are, but come on.
I know, it's outrageous. I know there is a hip hop person called Rapscallion. It's annoying because when I decided to land on Rapscallion sort of 7-8 years ago or whatever it was, there was one other band who were somewhere in Eastern Europe, and they played some strange sort of circus-inspired music. And I actually wrote to them and said, listen, this is the name I want to use. You don't look like you've been doing much lately. And they were like, yeah, it's fine. You can take the name. We don't use it anymore. And then when I actually went to start setting things up, it's like, oh, yeah, everyone's got it. But by that time, I had my heels dug in too much, and I refused. I wasn't going to change it. I did actually think about officially calling it the band Rapscallion or Rapscallion Are Splendid or something like that. But yeah. So there you go. Now that's lesson 1. Do your research.
But you have, I can't say nailed because there's obviously room for improvement. There always is. But you're on the certainly right track for your branding. Your songs, the fact that it's chap rock, the titles, the look of the album. The album cover, the fonts and all the logo stuff. It all fits well in. And so many artists and musicians don't know how to do that. How to, there's so much out there right now to grab people's attention. When you're bringing a new brand, and a band is a brand, into someone's eyes and ears, you have to give that first impression. They have to know pretty much what you are by that split second of looking at you. And I think you're doing a great job of that so far.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's quite important to me actually to get that sort of aesthetic across. And that's actually something I've been developing for quite a number of years. I mean, I've actually been making music videos for other people for over 10 years. Or at least I was until I had a child and a real job. Yeah, so I mean, I've actually there's a chap called Professor Elemental who does very similar sort of things, but with hip hop. It's that, and he's a very good friend of mine. I met him randomly through an old show he did about 13 or 14 years ago, and just went up to him and said, "Do you want to have a music video made?" And he said yes. So yeah, we've been developing this sort of visual style for quite a long time. So I've been, I've taken a lot of elements of things I learned from doing all that stuff, and that was very much in the steampunk world. And it's always been an aesthetic I've loved anyway. That sort of slightly creepy, very old, sort of Tim Burton-y, old mansions falling down type vibe. So yeah, it's all kind of, everything's all funneled right up to this point actually.
That's pretty
I
good.
think you supported Professor Elemental at a show, if I remember rightly. I remember seeing a video of you playing through the Helix and playing on the world's smallest stage.
Excuse me.
The stage was,
Yes,
I think, was the
indeed.
bottom step of a staircase.
It was the bottom step of a staircase. Yeah, I've actually played with him in the year before last when it was still there was an outside to go to. So those last couple of years, I must have played 15 or 20 shows, and lots of them were with Professor Elemental. And I was doing, actually, it's interesting, but I was doing that using backing tracks because there was, I didn't have a band set up. I never intended, my whole plan was to finish the album and then release it, then build a band, then play some live stuff. I was going to do everything backwards. In fact, the first thing I was going to do was release the album, and I got talked out of that, which maybe was something we'll come back to in a minute about releasing singles. But yes, so playing with backing tracks, which was essentially slightly custom versions of the tracks I was using to record, stripping out some of the guitar parts, stripping out the vocal, and just playing live guitar and singing along with them. But yeah, so it's quite good. I mean, I have got quite an in with a lot of his fans, and he's got a lot of fans. So I'm hoping that that's something that can sort of follow through. But that show you mentioned was brilliant. It was it's a little pub called the Yellow Book in Brighton, who are wonderful. They're basically just really, really cool people. They love the same things that I love. But yeah, their sound system is practically non-existent, and their stage is literally the bottom stair. But it's fun, you know. It's like it's you get up there and you play, and if you're lucky, the crowd digs it, which mostly they have for me in those situations. And it's just, you know, it's just a way to get out and play. You know, it's not. And I never actually intended for that to happen, but I kind of got cajoled into it just one time by Professor Elemental, and he was like, "Well, why don't you come and, you know, just sort of play some songs before I go on?" And we had that whole back and forth. I was like, well, it's a rock band. I can't do it with backing tracks. It's ridiculous. And he was like, well, I do it. And it's like, well, you're a hip hop artist. That's what every hip hop artist does. So eventually he wore me down, and I thought, okay, well, if I'll see it, I'll give it a go. And I did it once, and it went down really, really well. And then basically every gig through that has been either Professor Elemental getting me back there, or someone who was there telling someone and then them booking me. So it's all word of mouth through the live scene. And through that, I was actually in 2019 got to do quite a lot of steampunk festivals. So I was performing this stupid little one-man show with backing tracks, playing it like it was arena rock to steampunk, sort of all around the south of England
With a Helix.
with a Helix and an iPod. It's and that was it. That was my setup, really.
Brilliant.
But yeah.
So, Moog, I'm interested to know, when you posted about how do I promote this album or what do people recommend, what kind of answers did you get, and have any helped, so that we can help other people listen to this podcast? And yeah, go for it.
Well, it is a difficult one, because I mean, I think the specific question I asked was, does it matter what day you release music on
Yes.
anymore?
Yes.
And so that's probably quite a good place to start. The answer I think that I got personally was 50-50 split between no, it doesn't matter anymore, and Friday. So it's so, you know, take your pick, really. It's I think the no, it doesn't matters were very much let me think. It was people who were very much subscribed to the fact that if it's not going to be music that you expect or want to chart in any way, then it makes no difference whatsoever. You can release it when you like. You might want to look at trends of when people are online more or what have you. But the traditional music release launch day is now Friday. So that's when everything gets released. So that's what I went for. I thought, well, I like the traditional. It's like even though I know I probably will never get to that point of having a full-time music career, I like the structure of that Friday is the release day. This is the release day that all music's released. However, one thing I recommend not doing, which is something that I appear to have done, is releasing your first single on the day that the Foo Fighters release their new album, which I discovered days after putting everything in place to launch on the 5th of February. Even though I'm a massive Foo Fighters fan and pre-ordered this album months ago and have been looking forward to it, I completely forgot that was going to be there. So, I feel really, really bad that I'm going to take so much traffic away from the Foo Fighters, but,
It's not fair. What are you doing to one of my favourite bands?
It can't be helped, Andy. I'm so sorry.
When we have Dave on next week, he's going to be very annoyed.
Yeah.
That goddamn Brit, man.
Moog guy.
That Moog guy. This chap.
I just want to say quickly, I can't keep up with watching what's going on in the live chat, so I don't know if anyone's been saying anything that I should have responded to. So if you
We've
do
been
see
doing our
anything,
job. Don't worry too much. You've got at least one more follower on Instagram, so that will help. So
thank you.
That was worth it. Now, just general questions. People are excited to hear the music, which is really good news. And people that are on the fence about listening to it or not, jump over that fence.
Listen to it.
Yeah, listen to it. It's not going to hurt you.
So one question: if you're playing live, do you have like a specific steampunk attire, like some kind of stage outfit that you're pulling out whenever you play live?
I've got a few bits that work. Generally, I mean, I've been in that sort of world for a while, so I do have a bit of steampunk clothing. But generally, it's a pair of brown pinstripe trousers with a brown waistcoat. And some kind of shirt, and usually it's leopard print Chelsea boots, very important.
Nice.
But then to bring the rock in, I usually have sort of leather Zakk Wylde wrist cuffs and bangles and black nails, eye makeup. Every now and then I'll put on a big rock wig just for being stupid. But yeah, so I try and sort of cross that bridge of having a little bit of everything in what I do. And I'm just trying to work out a new stage outfit for when we go back out into the world as well, which is going to be even more custom. I've got pairs of like sort of, I got a suit made, which was a velvet crushed maroon suit, which I've worn a couple of times as well, with flared trousers. That's the important bit. But yeah, the new outfit's going to be something slightly different and slightly more stagey, hopefully. But then I've also got stuff. I've got a cape that I wear sometimes, which is good fun.
Don't we all? Come on, we've all got one of those.
My hat, of course, is my staple piece. There you go. There's my hat.
There you go. That's pretty steampunky. Yeah.
There you go. That's every show, right there.
That's cool.
So that's the thing. But yeah,
that head just screams dress for the job you want, not the job you have. Nice. Excellent. Yeah.
We've got some suggestions from Poo Ninja in the chat. He's suggesting LEDs in the costume.
LEDs.
Yeah, lights in.
Oh, LEDs. Sorry, I thought we were talking about a person called LED.
Sorry,
which,
it's my slightly European pronunciation. LEDs.
Way too long, sir. LEDs. Yeah, actually, that's really interesting. I would like to do some stuff on my guitar strap actually, because you can get the sort of what's it called, fiber
optics
up stuff. Fiber optics. Thank you. So I want to do some stuff that's up on my guitar strap, which is as if it's like sort of energy coursing up the guitar strap. So that's a very good call. LEDs. I like that. Thank you, Mr. Poo Ninja, or Miss Poo Ninja. I shouldn't assume anything.
This is Miss Poo Ninja's not watching at the moment. She's probably off hoovering the moon or something.
And how is the good Mrs. Poo Ninja? Oh, I've just noticed that Rise of the Ziggurat's around as well. And
Rise of the Ziggurat's been pushing you and giving you all the details to your Instagram and all that. So you.
Oh, thanks, old bean.
You owe them a cup of tea.
Definitely. Also recommend going to listen to Rise of the Ziggurat music as well, which is fantastic. There you go, little sideline, little plug for you there.
Where are you releasing this music, and how have you done it? And follow-up question: how did you decide on that method of release?
So I want to do physical release. I want to do vinyl specifically. Being the age I am, it's something I love. However, first things first, let's just get some music out there. So I did toy with the idea of releasing an album, just a piece of vinyl first, and that would be the only way that people could get it, because it seemed really, it's the thing I want to hold in my hands. I want to just have my music on vinyl. But I slowly realized over the last year that was ridiculous. The amount of people that would actually get my music pretty much before even hearing it was going to be my dad and possibly Rise of the Ziggurat. But so I thought, it's got to be digital. I mean, it's ridiculous to do anything else. So I thought about just doing Bandcamp, but then that also can be limiting. So I thought, well, if I'm going to do it, let's go the whole hog. So I've signed up with DistroKid, and that was a tough move because Spotify. I mean, obviously, the thing to do is get it on Spotify, get it out on Spotify. Because if you can get on a decent playlist or something like that, then that's going to really, really help push it to new people. I'm a little bit torn, even though I am a Spotify user. I've paid for my Spotify account. I struggle with Spotify, and I struggle with all of those streaming services, just because of the ridiculous amount that they pay their artists. And I don't even mean that from my point of view. I don't ever expect to make enough that it's going to matter one way or the other to me particularly. But I have dreams of somehow winning the lottery and creating a fair music streaming service. But anyway, all those misgivings aside, I thought the only way really that makes sense to do it at the moment is to put the music out where people can just get at it, so they can hear it. And then maybe if they hear it, then maybe they'll, come back for more. I am also releasing on Bandcamp, which will have the option to purchase if if anyone wants to. And so if that happens, that's just going to be a nice sort of bonus that comes out of it. It's something, that may or may not happen. So,
if someone purchases it from Bandcamp, do they get anything extra? Are they supporting you, of course, which is very valid. But have you thought about giving maybe one of the demo tracks as a download? Or
do you know what? I haven't thought about that, but that's not a bad idea. Putting an exclusive track up there. Yeah, I'll do that. Thank you. I will. I'm having that.
You're welcome. That's yours. Oh, hello. I really see. These are one of the things I wanted to talk about was Bandcamp and DistroKid. So it's very interesting to me that you're using both those mediums. For me, Bandcamp and DistroKid are very totally different ways of releasing music, which it seems you agree because you've chosen to go with both. So DistroKid is kind of sponsoring this episode as well, kind of in the sense that there's going to be a promo code where people can get DistroKid slightly cheaper.
Yeah, now you tell me.
Sorry, dude, but I released an album or an EP, I should say, in 2013, and I did that with DistroKid when they first came on the scene, and it was super easy. And back in those days, there was things like CD Baby and actually manually submitting tracks to iTunes. And it was so expensive. I think it was like $149 for an album or an EP, which I know, depending on who you are and what your income is, doesn't actually seem like that much money. But when you are a musician who doesn't have much income because you're a musician, way back then, $149 was a lot of money to be spending on something that I didn't think deserved to be paid that much. So DistroKid came around and made certain things certainly affordable. And they just seem more... there was more clarity with CD Baby and things like that. There was a lot of stuff going on. We're doing this for you, we're doing this for you, we're doing all this for you, and that's why it costs that money. And with DistroKid, it was kind of like, well, we're just opening the door and you throw your tracks in and we'll give them to the people that need them. And that appeals to me. I like to, get in behind the scenes and know exactly what I'm paying for. But then Bandcamp is, I would say, even easier to get tracks to people. It's more or less, you can almost like a Dropbox or like uploading a YouTube video. It's almost instant. And DistroKid you have to wait with DistroKid to get it into iTunes and get it registered, and perfect if you've set a release date, as you have, sir. But if you want something like I was doing, like I've just recorded a song, I want everybody to hear it. So, yeah, Distrokid, 3 days. So yeah, Bandcamp is great, and you can also give exclusive stuff through Bandcamp, and you can now sell merch and all kinds of crazy things. And yeah, I really enjoy that you're doing those 2 different mediums. I think you seem to have done your research.
Yeah, I have. I mean, I've definitely dug in, and I've asked a lot of other people, what they're doing. But I love Bandcamp for the way it operates. That instant thing that they do. I mean, fair enough, they do take their cuts most of the time, on the other end. But so they've got to get paid somehow. So fair enough. But the one thing that I don't like about Bandcamp is it's really difficult, or it's not really difficult. That's a very now thing to say. To actually get to listen to the stuff that you've bought on Bandcamp is more difficult than Spotify or Amazon Music or what have you. You've got to have a separate app. You've got to, listening to it on your desktop computer or what have you is fine. But when you're on the go and you want to listen to it, it seems like a bit of a faff to get to. And I don't know if it's just my phone or whatever, but I always find that when I'm using the Bandcamp app and I finish it and I try to turn it off, it won't turn off. It just carries on playing. And there's nothing you can do. You have to effectively shut down every single thing. Sometimes I've had to shut down the phone. And that makes me not really want to use it, which is a real shame, because otherwise, it could be really, really cool. But I like supporting artists on Bandcamp. I like the way you can buy someone's entire back catalogue really quickly. I bought Pliny's back catalogue a couple of years ago after hearing him on a podcast. I listened to No Guitar Is Safe. Sorry to plug another podcast on your podcast, but
which is a great one. No, it's a great one. It's a good one.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. It's not the best. It is great.
It's
Sorry.
Very different style of podcast. It's almost a different, completely species entirely. But I get to hear a lot of different guitarists through that podcast, and generally what I'll do is if I hear someone, I'll just go onto Bandcamp and buy something and so I like that side of it. But yeah.
At the moment, Bandcamp are
I've just
not
flustered
charging.
myself. I'm really sorry.
You did fluster yourself. I'm trying to. No one noticed. Bandcamp are not charging musicians currently because of the lockdown, so they're giving up their percentage.
Only on certain days.
But on certain days, exactly.
And one of those days, coincidentally, is Friday the 5th of February, which the more observant of you will remember.
It's when the Foo Fighters are releasing their album.
Exactly. So yeah, there's that.
What's we're gonna wrap this up soon, Moog, because it's late, it's snowing, and I don't want to draw this energy out of you on your release week. But what mistakes have you made that you're either glad you made them, so you've done them, or you're regretting them and you keep kicking yourself?
That's an interesting question. Excuse me.
Windy
That was
pops.
my answer. Did you like that?
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest things I not regret, but I wish I'd have done, is just got on and finished tracks. It took me a long time to put tracks to rest and say, okay, they're done. I was always going back. There was one track, the lyrics took me a year to write. Other tracks, they just arrived. But I just spent far too long trying to get it all together. I think I would have, I can't do that again. I'll be ridiculously old if I spend another 6 years making an album. But so I think that's the big thing, is just somehow try and finish something and get it out there, which is what I should have done. I was absolutely determined that I was going to have an album as my first thing I was going to release. And I think that's probably if I were to start that journey again, I would throw a single out, throw another single out, make an EP, build up to that album. But I think it's, again, being the age I am and being the way I consume music, I like a good album. And, this album is designed to be listened to as an album. It's, it has a designed flow through it. There are songs that are very much meant to be at the beginning and very much meant to be at the end, and take you on a little journey. But yeah, I think getting things out earlier is probably the big one for me. Maybe not doing everything myself as well. That's an interesting one, because it is essentially just me recording the album, making the videos, doing the artwork, planning everything.
It's a one-man show.
Yeah, I think, which is great. And I like writing that way. But I think, the situation I find myself in at the moment without, there's Dan and John, obviously, who are in the band, but I don't feel it's fair of me to sort of rely on anyone else to do that sort of stuff for me. So I think if I had more funds, I would certainly look into getting more people to do things for me. I don't like asking people to do something for nothing. So, I've been, throughout the years as well, I've been trying to save up a little bit of money. So if I ask an artist to do something, I have something to give them. If someone, does a little bit of something, I can always give them a little bit of something. But, sort of slightly off topic there. But
A Little Bit of Something is a great track name, by the way. I expect to see that on the next album.
One moment.
Little Bit of Something, Rapscallion 2.
Yeah. But actually, what Moog just said is quite an interesting point, because at some point, if you want to, clearly you said you don't want to make a profit, or you want to become millionaire with your music, but still, even at a semi-professional level, or kind of when you're starting a project, I think you got to find a way how to balance the artistry with some side of business, because you can make the greatest music, but if nobody's listening to it, it's just kind of wasted. So have you ever thought about just releasing maybe just an EP and use this as a means or a vehicle to enthuse people to fund your project? Because there are platforms like GoFundMe and Start Next and those kind of platforms where you can actually collect money from people to kind of to create those kind of funds to create a full album, and like you said, for instance, to maybe produce 100 vinyl copies or something like that. Yeah,
that's a good point, actually, and absolutely something I have considered. My hope is, the difference between my hope and my expectation. Sure, I'd love to earn millions out of this. That would be great. But my expectation is that I probably won't. But if I could find a way to generate enough income from the music to pay for making more music, that'll be great. That'll be not perfect, but a very comfortable position to be in. With this album, the only thing I didn't do myself was mix it and master it, because that's something while I can do something very basic, I wanted it to sound good. So I saved up as much as I could, and there was actually, might be a good thing to talk about online mixing and mastering services, because going to someone in the UK would have been ridiculously expensive. And there's a website called Sound Better, who unfortunately have been recently acquired by Spotify, so they're now part of that machine. But they are a really good place. It's producers, instrumentalists from all over the world can just put their services on this hub, and you just go and find the person who's right for you. So I spent a good long time listening to the catalogs of a bunch of producers and mix engineers, and I found this one guy called Jarrow in, I think, the Czech Republic, who I just sort of really liked the the feel of his music that he produced. So yeah, I just got in touch with him. We negotiated a price to do the album, and he went off and did that for me. And because it's remote, because you're not sitting there in the studio, they can work it around. The price is really, well, it can be really quite reasonable. I did have quotes from people at Abbey Road, just saying, yeah, I'll do it for 15 grand for you. And yeah, it's like, no, you won't, mate. But yeah, I managed to find a guy who was just about within my budget. And I think that's probably at this level the way I would progress.
Yes.
So I think what I'd like to do is, yes, if I can find a way for maybe people to crowd fund that part of the process. I don't expect anyone to pay for me writing the music. Eventually, at some point, I'd like to go and sort of do studio sessions and write and record in a studio. But until then, I can get by writing at home. I can get by recording at home. Yeah, so sort of just outsourcing those bits that you can't do, I think, is interesting. And yeah, the Sound Better is really good site.
Yeah, I think that's a very good advice, because you cannot have your strengths in all those fields, and I think if your sphere of action is focused on what you can do and what you can actually do pretty well, and you get help from people that support you with kind of social media activities or with mixing, with mastering and that stuff, I think that helps you to, especially if you do it as a spare time activity, to save up some energy and some time for like the key ingredients of your project, and I think that's a pretty good and pretty vital advice to everyone. Focus on what is really important, and try to, if you can, source out the rest, either with the help of your friends, your family, or even by hiring people.
Yeah, and I think especially the world is open at the moment to finding people. I mean, there's conversations to be had around where you spend your money, but if you can get someone to mix your album at a price that you can afford by sending it out to another part of the world, then why not? So yeah, I mean, eventually I would like to, like I was saying, one of my dreams is to hold my own music in my hand on a piece of 12-inch vinyl, and that is something that I think if the release goes well, if enough people get into it, then I'll probably start selling some merch, sell some t-shirts and bits and pieces. Try and generate some funds, maybe even do sort of like a pre-order thing for releasing it on album. And one other thing that I've recently decided, my first physical media release is, I'm going to tell you, I haven't told anyone else in the world this yet, but my first physical release is going to be 8-track cassette.
Nice.
I'm going to do an extremely limited run, recorded onto 8-track, and I'm quite excited about that. I love obsolete media formats. And recently,
that's a great song title, by the way, too.
It is, yeah.
Obsolete.
Hang on a minute.
Obsolete media.
Obsolete media
Gold.
formats.
This podcast, gold.
Songwriting advice, the Guitar Stories podcast. That's great. Also, again, it fits into your niche, Moog. It fits into I believe the people that would appeal to would be people like yourself, and that's the people who are your target.
Hang on a minute. What are you saying?
I'm saying you're the only one that's going to buy your own 8-track. What I'm trying to say is that you obviously enjoy what you're doing. You say you have this dream to hold your music in its physical form in your hand, and to convey that excitement, that passion through the music, and then someone else is going to feel that energy and they're going to buy into it, and you just need to get it into their ears and into their eyes. And it's very clear to me that what you've created, it is not just some songs and some files. It's a piece of art, because you've certainly structured it from the beginning to the end, as you said, and the artwork is quite exceptional, quite simple, really. But the simplest things are the most difficult. And we had a question in the chat about talking about the artwork. Did you do that all yourself? Was that a simple process?
Well, the single artwork, which is the thing that you'll have seen at the moment, I designed it. It's loosely based off of the first video, which I've been working on for quite a while. So it's thematically connected to that first video. And the first 3 singles, because there's going to be 3 singles. I don't think I've said that. 3 singles on the way up to the album, which is going to be April the 9th. April 9th is release date of the album. That's one for your calendars, because I know you're terribly excited. So 3 singles on the way, and the artwork is going to be a set. So that sort of main image will be reworked for the 3 things. So it'll be like a little collection when it comes together. So the album, the art rather, is something that I basically put together out of a lot of stock pieces and then manipulated. There's if anyone hasn't seen it, it's essentially a sort of a very old looking wall with old wallpaper on it, and on that wall hangs a very ornate gilded frame, which is a piece of stock imagery which I bought, and then within the frame is a picture of a burning town overshadowed by a massive crab.
Yeah.
And so I'm in the industry of media-y type things. So I generally try to do everything legitimately. So for the images inside the frame, I found royalty-free stock art from, crikey, I don't know, I think it's from the 18th century. And then just got 2 images and composited them together and tweaked them and manipulated them. And even if you're very eagle-eyed, hid a very, very tiny little photograph of me in there as well. So yeah, so it's basically it's just a big sort of mishmash of all sorts of bits and pieces that I found online. I bought a really nice font to do all the actual type, and the logo is something that I hand drew myself and then worked into with digital methods. So the Rapscallion logo itself is that's something that's been evolving over the last couple of years, and this is it in its current form.
Okay.
So yeah, lots of different ways of bringing little bits and pieces together that are available to you.
Moog, is it okay if I show it on screen?
Yeah, go for it.
I've
Absolutely.
just managed to rip it for the internet in the most...
I would have been happy to send it to you, but
Well, you were talking,
You know.
so I'm going to put it on my face. There we go. That is
There it
the
is.
thing that Moog's just been talking about. The single, You're Bloody Well Getting Rock and Roll Tonight. Yeah, that direction. Yeah, I love it. It kind of reminds me a little bit of a Discworld novel. There's some Discworld there. But
Okay.
also, is it Lemony Snicket's Series of Unfortunate Events? Something like that?
I might have read 1 or 2 of those.
Yeah, there's that kind of vibe going on. I love it. I think it's great.
Mm-hmm. And this image, I was toying with the idea of saving it for a future release, but I don't think it's going to be released as its own independent song. But one of the tracks on the album is called "The Night of the Giant Killer Crabs," so that is probably where that inspiration came from. As soon as I saw the stock image of the crab, I was like, oh, yeah, I've got to do something with that.
Very nice.
But that's an 8-minute mini rock opera, so I doubt it's going to really come out as a single. It's got movements, Andy. It's got movements.
I like a
Right.
good movement.
Heard that about you.
Oh, Britain.
Alrighty.
So, give us some more dates. So this Friday, the 5th, the Friday the 5th of February 2021, we're getting the
Yes.
first single. You're bloody well getting Rock and Roll Tonight from
Yes.
Rapscallion the band. Where would you most like people to go and find that?
Wherever you blooming well want to, whatever is most convenient, wherever you're going to listen to it. I don't care where you find it. Just, I'd really love it if you want to listen to it. I think probably the easiest one is going to be Spotify. But I mean, it'd be nice if if anyone wanted to go to Basecamp and follow on Basecamp just to sort of build up the numbers. But I think if anyone was interested, I'd really appreciate, all the sort of social media follows and what have you. Perhaps if I could maybe send those to you, Andy and Dan, and
Yeah,
I should have done that.
they'll go in the
Perhaps
video
send
description
them.
down below this, and we'll
would
put
be
something
lovely,
out on the
thank you.
Instagram as well, Dan. Yeah.
Cheers.
Yep.
Yeah, but I think just if you can like follow on Facebook or any of those things, then just keep tabs of what's going on, and I'll point you to things, and I'm usually around. And if you want to ask me any questions or chat to me about the music
Movements.
or movements or anything else ridiculous that I've done,
May I suggest
Most people just-
movements?
movements.
Ooh.
Night of the Giant Killer Crab, a song in 4 movements.
Featuring Professor Elemental.
Yes, that's interesting, actually. If you like Professor Elemental, he's all over this bloody album.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Night of the Giant Killer Crabs is an original track where he's co-stars. Co-stars? No, featuring him, whatever. Yeah, that thing. We are in cahoots. And there are also 2 tracks on the album which are Rapscallion reimaginings of classic Professor Elemental songs, which we've completely re-recorded. So yes, not a bit from. One of them, in fact, he likes so much that he does that one live now instead of the original. So
Oh wow.
that's quite fun. Yeah.
Wow,
So
that's a
there's
compliment. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, it's quite nice actually. But I think if you like Professor Elemental and you like rock music, you will probably like Rapscallion. So yeah.
Well,
Sounds
Moog,
good.
I want to say thank you very much for sharing your wonderful personality and soon to be sharing your music with us. I've learned tonight, and maybe you've picked up a few things too, and the people listening and watching, maybe you've got something if you're an artist. If not, then sorry. But at the very least, there's some more guitar music coming to the world, and it's coming this Friday the 5th. And that can only be a good
We
thing.
need it, don't we? We need more good guitar music.
We do.
I'm not saying
Yeah.
mine's necessarily good. I'm not trying to blow my own trumpet or anything, but that's for others to decide, not me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll put links to the music underneath this video, and we'll spam it all over the Instagram as usual.
Hooray.
And Moog, best of luck with the release, and I hope you get to hold that in your hands.
Oh.
Yeah.
Thanks ever
The
so
vinyl
much,
dream
guys.
lives on.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah. And sorry if I've missed anyone's questions in the chat, but I'll try and reply. I'll have a sift back through and chuck some replies on the bottom if there's anything anyone wants to know.
Great,
Cool.
great. And if you can't find Moog anywhere, you can of course contact us, and we'll put you through to the main Moog line.
And we can tag him on Instagram too if we release the podcast episode tomorrow.
Sure.
Yeah. Cool.
Thanks.
Well, again, Moog, thanks so much for being our guest tonight and talking about those various topics, not just music creation, but also music distribution and how to try to stand out. A lot of challenges, but also a lot of great ideas have been shared. This was very insightful. And all the best for the project. Really love the steampunk approach. And I had listened to the album. You sent it to Andy and me previously, so it was really cool. Had a good vibe, and I always like positive music that makes me play the air guitar or the real guitar.
Thanks, Dan.
Yeah.
I just have to
All
tell you
right.
this, just to end with this, Moog. I listened to it on top of a mountain.
Oh, that's so great. If that's not true, can it be true?
It is true, and it was my little moment. I had a few minutes to spare. I'm like, I need to listen to this before the podcast.
Amazing. Were you shirtless? It can only get better if you're shirtless. Standing
No.
like that.
I think
On a
the
bus.
weirdest thing was my friend was returning his snowshoes that were broken. So, and I was listening to Rapscallion on the top of a mountain, looking out at this, thinking,
Fantastic.
it's not bad, this, is it? So, yeah. So when you listen to it, I want you to imagine you're listening on top of a mountain and it's anthemic and rock and roll.
Amazing.
All right, people in the YouTube video, thank you for watching. Don't forget to do all the things that you do on YouTube and press buttons and click things. Dan, do they want to tag us on Instagram?
Yeah, of course. Whenever you got some gear to show or some stories, guitar stories to tell, tag us on Instagram. Of course, if you like the podcast and if you're listening on any of the podcast, what is it called? Podcatchers. Yeah, podcatchers. Give us a rating on Spotify or iTunes. That will help us to spread the word about our show. Or send us an email or dirty messages on Instagram or emails on guitarstoriespodcast@gmail.com.
Oh, okay. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you. Moog, cheers,
good
Dan.
night.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.